There is a quiet place within, a place that is always listening even when the mind is busy and the world feels loud. It does not rush, it does not persuade, it simply waits for the moment a soft breath brings attention home and the body remembers how to unclench. From here, everything begins to soften, like light settling into the horizon after a day of weather. In this stillness, a gentle truth begins to rise. Life is always speaking, and what it whispers becomes audible when there is enough silence to hear it. The journey ahead is not a race and not a performance. It is a return to the thread that never broke, to the presence that never left, to the part of the self that has known all along how to move without forcing, how to trust without proving, and how to love without counting. There are seasons when the heart feels like a closed room and the windows stay shut, where the air is tight and familiar and everything seems like a repetition of yesterday. In those seasons, the mind tries to solve what only the soul can dissolve. It fills space with plans and tries to bargain with uncertainty, hoping that more effort, more control, more doing will quiet the ache. But the ache is not a problem. It is an invitation. It asks not for more control, but for more surrender, not for more certainty, but for more willingness to be surprised. The moment this is understood, the air in the room changes. A window does not need to be forced open, it needs to be unlatched. This is the art of the subtle shift. Small, sincere, unglamorous movements that change the entire architecture of a day. Imagine the way morning light falls across the floor, indifferent to plans and deadlines, yet perfectly on time. It arrives because the earth turns, not because anyone demands it. The heart is like this. It knows its cycles, it knows how to rise, it knows how to heal, it knows how to make room for new songs in the same old house. Healing does not ask for a spectacle. It asks for attendance. It asks for a return to the breath, a return to the body, a return to the present moment where life is actually happening. The present is tender. It is not a place of judgment. It is a place of noticing the texture of the breath, the weight of the shoulders, the narratives that loop, the moments of brightness that pass through like birds. In noticing, there is mercy. In mercy, there is movement. When attention softens, something unexpected happens. The old stories lose their absolute authority. The voice that once said, "This is who you are and who you will always be," begins to sound like an echo from a hallway already walked. Then, in the smallest ways, life answers this new spaciousness. A text from someone thought to be gone appears. A sentence in a book speaks directly to a question that could not be voiced. A quiet urge to step outside and feel the afternoon sun leads to an unplanned conversation and a path not previously imagined. These are not accidents, they are responses. They are proof that inner alignment is not a private event, but a living dialogue with the world. When the inner compass realigns, the environment subtly rearranges to reflect it. There is a river beneath the noise. It moves whether attention is turned toward it or not. It moves when the surface is calm and when the surface is stormed. It is not concerned with appearances. It carries what is ready to be released, and it nourishes what is ready to grow. To live from this river is to let go of the compulsion to fix every wave and instead become intimate with the current. This intimacy is not passive. It is participatory. It asks for honesty about what feels heavy and what feels clean, about which patterns exhaust the spirit and which choices bring the nervous system down from its ledges. Sometimes the most spiritual decision is the simplest boundary. Sometimes the wisest prayer is a single yes or a single no. In truth, each sincere decision is a prayer spoken with the body. The pace of the world often asks for urgency, but the soul never does. The soul asks for sincerity. It asks for authenticity. It asks for a willingness to move as one who is already enough, not one who is desperately striving to become enough. When moving from enoughness, the grasping softens. The need to prove begins to melt. The voice that shouts for validation grows quieter, and a gentler voice, more ancient and true, begins to speak with clarity that does not need to be loud. It says, "Be where the breath is." It says, "Choose what is kind." It says, "If something asks for force, ask also whether it asks for release." It says, "Offer presence to what hurts, and offer gratitude to what heals." These are not instructions to earn a life. They are reminders to live the one already here. In times of change, there is often a threshold when nothing makes complete sense. The old ways no longer work, and the new ways have not fully formed. This can feel like being suspended between two stories, or like standing on a shoreline at low tide, the sea receded, the seafloor revealed, treasures and debris alike exposed in the same pale light. This is a sacred place. It is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of becoming. The unfamiliarity is not punishment. It is proof that the self has outgrown a container. The task here is not to rush the tide, not to hurry the sea back into place, but to listen. What is the body saying when rushing stops? What is the heart saying when distractions grow quiet? What is life asking for in this hour that it did not ask for yesterday? The answers are rarely dramatic. They are usually small, warm, and steady. Drink water, step outside, speak gently to the mind. Clean a corner of the room. Write what feels true without needing to be profound. Make space. Let what is coming have room to arrive. Trust grows in the same way a garden grows. It does not appear all at once. It is cultivated. It is watered. It is attended to with patience and believed in long before the first green shoots break the soil. The garden does not argue with the seasons. It does not resent winter for being winter. It rests and repairs, knowing that the unseen is doing its exacting work. The self also needs seasons. Seasons to act and seasons to wait. Seasons to plant and seasons to harvest. Seasons to grieve and seasons to dance. In honouring these rhythms, life becomes less of a contest and more of a conversation. Instead of demanding a continuous summer, there is a deeper appreciation for the sacred intelligence that moves through cycles and keeps everything alive without asking for applause. There is a quiet practice that begins to reshape everything it touches. It is the practice of choosing inputs that nourish the path rather than cloud it. The shows watched, the words repeated, the rooms entered, the voices allowed close enough to colour the inner sky. Every input is a seed. Every seed yields a crop. It is not a moral judgment to become selective. It is an act of stewardship. The inner landscape is a field that feeds the life itself. Tend it with respect. Notice which conversations leave the breath shallow and which ones deepen the inhale. Notice which habits drain the day and which ones return it. Notice which spaces invite authenticity and which ones require masks. Where it is possible, choose what is kind to the nervous system. Where it is not possible, choose to meet the moment with self-compassion. The world softens when the inner voice softens. At times, a memory rises uninvited and tries to rehearse an old sorrow. It wants to remind the self of who it used to be, of the mistakes made, of the times the heart did not yet know what it knows now. In these moments, practice is simple and profound. put a hand over the heart and breathe. Speak to the younger self with the compassion that was missing at the time. Say, of course that hurt. Of course that was confusing. Of course the best choice then looks different through the eyes of the present. Let the memory be met with love instead of verdicts. Sorrow metabolizes when it is allowed to be held. The body knows how to digest what it could not digest before. Tears are not regressions. They are rinsing. Let them fall. Then feel the space that remains. It is larger than imagined. Gratitude is not a trick or a performance of positivity. It is a way of perceiving that refuses to ignore what is good, even while acknowledging what is hard. It is the art of looking at an ordinary moment and seeing the miracle hiding in plain sight. Breath arriving without being summoned, water clear enough to drink. A fragment of laughter that survives a difficult day. A beam of sunlight warming a floor. A friend who texts a single line that feels like a lighthouse at dusk. Gratitude does not erase pain. It escorts it toward meaning. It says, even here, even now, something is awake and loving life through me. Even here, even now, I am in relationship with a mystery that keeps reaching for me, no matter how many times I forget the way back. There is power in gentle decisions that seem too small to matter. The choice to pause before reacting, to place the phone face down for the span of a tea steeping, to step into the morning light before opening a screen, to say thank you before sleep, to drink water before coffee, to take a longer breath when the jaw wants to lock. These small decisions are not trivial. They are levers that shift the inner physics. They reposition the center of gravity from reactivity to responsiveness. Over days and weeks, the body remembers safety. The mind remembers simplicity. The heart remembers that it does not need to armor itself against every unknown. With this remembering, life begins to meet the self differently. Opportunities that used to pass by are recognized because attention is no longer fogged by the constant noise. The path becomes less about chasing and more about recognizing what has already arrived. Sometimes the most honest devotion is rest, not hiding, not avoidance, but sacred rest that sees the nervous system is not a machine and the heart is not an algorithm. It is an act of courage to close the laptop when productivity culture wants more. It is an act of faith to stop spiraling a problem and take a walk instead. It is an act of wisdom to let the body sleep when the mind insists there is something left to prove. Rest is a statement of trust. The world will not fall apart if the self chooses to be human. In the space that rest creates, clarity returns on its own timetable. Solutions reveal themselves not as puzzles solved, but as paths felt. The inner voice becomes audible again, not because it is louder, but because there is finally room to hear. Love is the ultimate reorientation. It is not merely a feeling for a person or a place. It is a state of being that changes the way everything is approached. From the way the self speaks internally to the way strangers are greeted in passing. Love is the decision to see beyond the performance of others and honour the frightened, bright, sincere centre inside them. It is the decision to see beyond the performance of the self and honour the frightened, bright, sincere centre inside as well. When love becomes the lens, righteousness becomes less interesting. Curiosity replaces certainty. Listening replaces lecturing. Goodness replaces the need to be right. This way of moving does not make one a doormat. It makes one discerning. Boundaries become easier, not because of anger, but because of love for the truth. On this path, compassion for the self is not a luxury. It is oxygen. Without it, all the spiritual language in the world becomes a mask. With it, even silence becomes prayer. Compassion says, the self did not fail by needing time. The self did not fail by being afraid. The self did not fail by making choices it now sees differently. Compassion says, everything that has happened has brought the self to this breath, this clarity, this readiness to live more faithfully. In this light, regret loosens into wisdom. Shame loosens into responsibility. Avoidance loosens into agency, and agency grounded in compassion becomes a steady flame. It does not need to blaze to be real, it only needs to endure. There are moments when guidance arrives so distinctly it feels like a bell rung in the chest. A phrase lands in the mind with the weight of truth. A sign appears in the world with timing too exact to dismiss. A chance meeting opens a door that had no knob from the inside. These moments are not interruptions to life. They are life revealing its deeper choreography. To honour them, sensitivity must be protected. This means not numbing the senses with constant distraction. It means trusting that intuition is not a superstitious impulse, but a legitimate form of intelligence refined through attention and integrity. The more that intuition is honoured, the clearer it becomes. It is a muscle that strengthens with use. It is a language that grows more fluent with listening. Fear will visit. It always does when the terrain changes or when the next version of life asks for more room. Fear is not disobedience, it is vigilance. It is the body asking, will this be safe? The answer is not to banish fear, but to give it better instructions. The answer is to say, thank you for trying to keep me alive, and then to stay present in the step that is actually being taken. The mind invents catastrophes to compensate for the unknown, but the body only ever takes one step at a time. Trust lives at the scale of one step, one phone call, one hard conversation, one breath in and one breath out. That is how mountains are crossed. That is how lives are changed. Nothing grand is required, only sincerity repeated. In relationships, a shift occurs when the self learns to listen past the first impulse. Many disagreements are not about content, but about nervous systems trying to be safe in each other's presence. When safety is prioritized, communication becomes more honest. I feel becomes more common than you always. Pauses become more frequent than interruptions. Repair becomes more important than winning. An apology is no longer proof of inferiority, but proof of strength, a signal that the relationship is more valuable than the defense of an ego. In this way, love matures from intensity into steadiness, from fireworks into candlelight, from drama into devotion. The heart learns that stability is not boring, it is fertile, it is where the deeper chapters can be written. Work also changes when alignment deepens. The question shifts from how to get recognition to how to give resonance. What contribution feels honest? What craft feels alive in the hands? What rhythm allows excellence without erasing the human who offers it? Productivity becomes less about output and more about integrity. A day well lived is not the one that exhausts the self, but the one that expresses the truth of the self. In this way, success becomes less fragile because it is not hanging from external outcomes alone. It is grounded in the daily practice of showing up in a way that the inner witness respects. This kind of success cannot be taken by market tides or public opinion. It is possessed in the marrow. There is also a sacred place where letting go becomes the kindest action available. Letting go of a story that has completed its chapter. letting go of an identity that once provided safety, but now constricts growth, letting go of a relationship that cannot meet the truth of who someone is becoming. Letting go is not abandonment of care. It is an offering of space for life to reorganize around what is now. The grief of letting go is real. Let it be real. Grief honors love by allowing its imprint to be felt. And underneath grief, often quietly, there is relief. And under relief, there is a new horizon. And on that horizon, there is a life that couldn't fit into the previous container. The courage to release is the courage to receive. Spiritual practice is not about escaping the human experience. It is about embodying it more fully. It is about washing the dishes with presence. It is about answering emails with clarity and kindness. It is about feeling anger without weaponizing it, sorrow without drowning in it, joy without clutching it too tightly. It is about being trustworthy to the truth as it moves through each day. A truly lived spirituality is recognizable not by how eloquently one speaks about it, but by how gently one moves through crowded places, by how quickly one forgives, by how faithfully one returns to who they are when nobody is watching. As clarity grows, it becomes evident that life is not punishing with repetition. It is instructing with patterns. The same lessons return not because nothing changes, but because love is patient enough to keep teaching until freedom is chosen. There is enormous grace in this realization. Instead of resenting what returns, there can be gratitude for the chance to respond differently. Each repetition is an invitation to alter the pattern by altering the presence brought to it. Respond with more honesty. Respond with more patience. Respond with clearer boundaries. Respond with a deeper breath. In this way, the pattern is not an enemy, but a practice field where skill is refined and the soul becomes adept at choosing alignment over habit. There is a dignity in simplicity that cannot be overstated. Simplicity frees attention for what matters. It reduces the friction of living. It allows the inner signal to be heard. Simplify the room. Simplify the calendar. Simplify commitments to what is true. This is not austerity, it is devotion to clarity. In clear space, creativity blossoms. In clear space, relationships deepen because there is time to be with them. In clear space, the self remembers that joy is not hiding behind achievement. It is present in the way light falls on an ordinary morning, in the smell of fruit cut open, in the laughter that arrives without announcement. The sacredness of the ordinary is the great secret. The miracle is not reserved for the peak experience, the retreat, the ceremony at the edge of the world. The miracle is here, where keys are misplaced and meals are cooked and socks are paired. It is here where weeds are pulled and floors are swept, and the quiet of evening settles like a blessing on tired shoulders. To be awake is to meet the ordinary with reverence, to say this too is holy, this too is worth my full attention. This too can be a prayer if I offer myself honestly to it. In this kind of living, separation between spiritual and practical dissolves. Life becomes one piece. In moments of doubt, remember that doubt is not disproof. It is a weather pattern in the mind. It rolls in, it rolls out, and what remains is the ground. Stand on the ground. Feel the feet. Name 3 things that are undeniably true in the moment. The sky has its colour, the breath has its rhythm, the heart is still willing to try. From these simple truths, proceed. The path does not need to be fully visible for the next step to be taken. The lantern only reveals what the step requires. That is enough. That has always been enough. This journey is not about becoming someone else. It is about releasing everything that is not the truest self and letting what has always been quietly true become visible. Kindness has always been there. Courage has always been there. Wisdom has always been there. Patience has always been there, even if it was hard to find. Each practice, each pause, each breath reveals more of what is already present. The self is not assembling worth from scattered pieces. The self is uncovering the wholeness that was veiled by noise. If a blessing is needed, let it be simple. May the mind be less harsh. May the body feel safe inside the breath it carries. May the heart remember how deeply it is rooted in something larger than fear. May guidance arrive in ways that are undeniably kind. May the path be lit one step at a time in a light that does not blind but invites. May love be the atmosphere in which decisions are made. May the courage to release be matched by the grace to receive. May forgiveness be a daily practice, especially toward the self who has only ever been learning how to live. There will be days when everything aligns and days when nothing seems to fit. On both kinds of days, the practice is the same. Return to the breath, return to the body, return to the present. Offer what is honest, choose what is kind, trust what is steady. Life is not a test of endurance alone. It is a sanctuary being built from the inside out. Each gentle choice is a stone. Each sincere word is a beam. Each act of compassion is a window that lets more light in. Over time, the house of the life becomes a place where it feels good to reside, where others feel safe to visit, where love is the design and peace is the foundation. And when the questions become loud again, as they sometimes will, remember that the answer is in the living, not in the perfect phrasing of an idea. Walk while wondering, pray while washing, laugh while learning, rest while rebuilding, love while letting go. The mystery is not solved by distance, it is met by presence. Presence is the way home. Presence is the shift. Presence is the alignment. And here in this breath, presence is available. Here is where the quiet place within places a gentle hand on the shoulder and says, "You are not late, you are not lost, you are not separate from the goodness you seek. You are arriving one kind breath at a time into the life that has been arriving for you."